At Chican, we lead with our stories. We show women's stories, how they got to where they are today. And I'm really excited to talk to Yasmin Kahkesh today. Yasmin, welcome to Chican. We have already spoken once, and it was a really inspiring conversation. So I'm really looking forwards to this. You're going into grade 11. You're a student at the Crofton House School. You're a founder of Changemakers, and you're passionate about venture capital, journalism, and entrepreneurship. Tell us more about yourself.
Yes, thank you so much for that introduction, Stephanie. Um, I serve as the founder and CEO of Changemakers, which is a community platform I started just about a year ago, so when I just turned 15. And it was inspired by my passion for entrepreneurship, specifically CPG and e-commerce. So as a young kid, I loved going to the grocery store, Whole Foods, or the Asian grocery stores with my mom and looking through all the aisles and looking at the amazing products that were there and just so in awe and so inspired by everything. And I loved to see the variety of everything that was offered at these supermarkets, but I was also wanting to talk to the people behind the products. So I wanted to get into those rooms where there were those cool CEOs and founders having those amazing conversations about what they were making in CPG. So I started to do that with Changemakers and create a platform where I could share those conversations with students who might also be passionate about CPG and entrepreneurship. So over the past year, I've had the amazing opportunity to interview and feature some amazing founders, including Tara Bosch, founder of Smart Sweets, which are those like sh low sugar candies, or the founders of amazing Vancouver-led CPGs in the nine figures area. And I've been so grateful to also gain their expertise and learn about their advice and insights along their journey. And with Changemakers, I've fostered an amazing community about 1,000 students, young students, also passionate about getting into entrepreneurship. And we've reached about 50,000 students as well, and grown our community to encompass just a lot of people passionate about CPG, impact-driven entrepreneurship, and creating a skill set and a mindset of kind of succeeding in the space of entrepreneurship that's oftentimes not taught about in linear education. So that's what I've been doing with Changemakers. And I'm so glad that I have the chance to share that with you as well. And currently, we are in the process of getting Changemakers registered as a nonprofit in BC in order to receive some grants so we can also kind of market our venture more out to the kind of international community, as I would like Changemakers to be something that people around the world, regardless of where you are, young or old, can get involved in. And I hope that's something I can also do down the line. But that's what I've been doing with Changemakers in just about over a year.
Yasmin, and it's so exciting. And you have come such a long way since I spoke to you last, which is really exciting. You have also been working with Girls into VC, Isabella Mandis, right? Who's one of our role models. You've done so much. You're a top athlete. You do so much. How are you able to do it all? Go to school, be an athlete, run change makers, push your vision forwards. You've been involved with Girls into VC. You do other bits and pieces. Tell us how you fit it all in.
Mhm. My schedule is definitely very, very busy, even in the summer, and I would say more busy during the school year. But one thing that's really helped me make the right decisions and continue pursuing what I want is just having a clear North Star. So something I've established from day one with Changemakers is that I want to grow us to a global community of innovators, creatives, and people who want to seek impact-driven CPG. So that's what I've established from day one, and I will work continuously every day to work in that direction. And with that, I need to have a clear state of mind to make the right decisions, make the right calls for my team, for myself, and for the change makers I'm featuring about what we need to do on the daily in order to all move in that direction. So one thing that's helped me do everything and make sure I'm managing everything correctly is just having a clear state of mind. So taking care of myself, making sure I have enough sleep, I have clear goals set up, I have a schedule that's not making me feel overwhelmed. I'm communicating to my internal and external networks if I'm extremely busy a certain weekend, or I have extra time to focus on looking into the grants for Changemakers. So one thing I would recommend to anyone who is wanting to start a venture, but also managing a job or school or friendships or just life in general is to prioritize having a clear state of mind because that will really help you perform in everything else you do. So I think that would be my one piece of advice and kind of my little secret on how I'm able to balance everything in my life.
Yasmin, so where do you feel challenged? What are your challenges, your day-to-day challenges, and how do you work with those?
Mhm. As someone who's always striving for more or for more excellence, I would say I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. It is challenging to, close my computer and call it a day and go do something else and show up for a meeting with my friends or a gathering with my friends that I've agreed to, rather than just working away at my computer or focusing on something else that is a tedious task that's never going to end for me. So sometimes I find it challenging to step away from my work and really be present and enjoy life and experiences as a teenager and as a 16-year-old. But it's one thing I have been working on because I know the experiences and times I won't get back as a 16-year-old. So I do want to be more present in my experiences. So one thing I am working on is just closing my computer at the end of the day and going and relaxing with my family and friends rather than just working vicariously all the time because I know that I don't want to build that as a habit when I do get into university and go on to work in the corporate world. So that's something that I do struggle with, but talking to my mom about it, talking to my sisters, talking to people at school about maybe how I sometimes I'm really not addicted, but I would say really driven to continue work is helpful because they can also give you another insight. So you can kind of get some more information and create the best schedule for you. So for me personally, I know that after school, I like to finish all my work all the way until kind of the later hours of the night, and then I'll take a break. I know for some people, they like to take a break right after school and then they'll work afterwards. But for me, I'm like go, go, go. So I've noticed that that works best with my schedule. And in those hours, I'm able to have optimal brain power. So it's really about finding your schedule and sticking to it. So that's something I've kind of learned, and I hope to continue pursuing in order to kind of combat the initial kind of tendencies of mine to continue working, even when it might not be healthy.
Yasmin, so what do you feel your qualities are that really serve you every day? I mean, you have an incredible sense of excellence and drive that is really quite unique, I would say, right? There isn't, not every 16-year-old is like that. When did you realize that, and how and what qualities do you feel really serve you in building change makers?
I think over the past year, I've really developed my confidence for networking because a large part of Changemakers is reaching out to people and reaching out to people and persuading them to have a 15-minute conversation with me or share their insights with our community or allow me to co-post a reel I've created with their Instagram account that might have like 10K followers. So I think it's a lot of persuasion and tactical negotiation, I would say. And that really involves confidence and self-belief in change makers. So I think I've really honed my confidence and almost that unwavering belief in what I'm building. And along with that, also persistence, because reaching out is really just like 10 no's and one yes. So persistence and consistency to continue reaching out despite failure or despite rejection. And I think the last skill I've also learned is just to be present within my conversations and just within my work. I realized that when I'm present, when I'm talking to a change maker, even if it's just for 15 minutes, the conversation we're going to have and the topics we're going to have are going to be so much more vibrant and vivid. and really alive when I go back and I look at it because I'm really being aware of what I'm saying and the questions I'm asking and how I'm making that person feel. And they're much more likely to open up to me rather than if I'm being super stagnant and if I'm just saying some prepared interview questions. So I think being present in both my work and my life, because I've noticed when I'm present in my life at home with friends, just when I'm doing my work, I'm so much more fulfilled and so much more happy. And I'm much less likely to fall into different spirals or feel like I'm not doing enough work or the work I'm doing isn't reaping the outcomes I would like. So I think my discipline and kind of confidence in networking, along with persistence and just presence in my life, have been three key qualities that I've further honed throughout the year of kind of developing change makers, but also developing my own sense of self.
Yasmin, so give us some more tips to young girls who are in school and feel they really want to make a difference and they're up to something, they feel they're onto something. You've already given a few tips. What others would you have?
My key tips for a student who's also aspiring to create some sort of venture or really interested in entrepreneurship are to lean on your networks. Because one thing my sister always used to say was you're six people away from meeting whoever you want. So you really can meet Bill Gates or even Beyonce if you want to. It's just about finding the right people and talking to those right people in the right ways. Because I've noticed that when you come from a place of authenticity, even when you want a certain outcome, people are so much more likely to actually help you or guide you to other people who could help you and lend a helping hand. So I would say leaning on your networks, but when you do, ensuring that the messages you're sending them, the conversations you're having, they're all based on an authentic want or authentic ask to them. And another piece of advice I would also say is to have confidence in yourself because being a girl, especially, sometimes you're going to receive a lot of no's, especially if you're venturing into finance or corporate. But it's not about how many no's you're going to have, it's about how many times you're going to stand up after someone rejects you. So I think for me, I've developed my unwavering sense of confidence because I've had so many rejections, so many times where people have opted out of an interview or just, ghosted me on LinkedIn. So I think I've had those experiences, negative and positive, that have allowed me to be confident in what I'm producing and what I'm presenting to people. So I would say another key piece of advice I would lend to anyone who wants to listen is really just be confident in what you have and what you have to offer, and have that belief that at the end of the day, you're at where you are and you can develop your skills and grow, but be content with where you are and be sure that you understand that where you are isn't a bad place and you always have the time and space to grow and even get better. So I think those would be my two core pieces of advice to students or just young girls who would also like to kind of drive impact in this modern world.
Which is amazing, Jasmine. Thank you. So tell us a bit more about your plans. You're 16 years old. You're obviously in school. You've created Changemakers. Where do you see yourself heading? What type of university are you aspiring to? What do you have any idea what you want to study? How do you see Changemakers develop over the next years?
I've thought about my plans for the future quite a bit. I see change makers throughout grade 11 and grade 12 being something I grow into a registered nonprofit, hopefully, firstly, and also something that grows in size with the amount of people we can reach. So sometimes in the previous years, the amount of people we could reach was quite stagnated just because the content I was producing wasn't reaching a lot of audiences internationally. It was
Mhm.
more reaching people in the Vancouver lower mainland area, not people kind of out of that domestic range.
Mhm.
So my goals for the future when I'm building it in grade 11 and 12 are to expand that international reach. And knowing that grade 11 and 12 are very challenging years, I'm going to have to try to balance everything and make sure I am prioritizing my academics as well. But another thing I'm kind of anticipating in the future is definitely to head to university and study business and economics. So something I've always enjoyed learning about was business, economics, finance, and coming from a family of people who are involved in that, I really gravitated towards it. And I think that's just something I find interesting. I love the different components, whether that be the math, the negotiation, the persuasion. I all love that. So that's definitely something I want to study for my undergrad and kind of looking beyond that. I would also like to kind of work in the corporate or finance sector. Throughout that, I'm not sure if I can continue Changemakers, but I will try my best. But the ethos of Changemakers has kind of been ingrained into me for so long. And even though after university, after undergrad, I would love to pursue a corporate job in finance and, work on Wall Street in New York or something. There's always that inkling in me to start some sort of CPG brand. And I know CPG is a very specific niche, but it's something I'm so fascinated by and I can't stop it. So definitely down the future, I would love to pursue something in that space. And having had a extensive portfolio, about 100 change makers, specifically in CPG, having interviewed them, learned their advice, I think there's some thoughts percolating in my mind of specific products or specific SKUs I could start. But I would definitely love to try the traditional corporate finance route before I explore what a path of CPG and entrepreneurship could offer. And I'm so lucky to have mentors and people in that space who could provide me advice and even help me consolidate my product and consult my product if I were to start something in that space. So I think that would kind of be my plan and my vision. And I know that Changemakers serves as this stepping stone for me to achieve all of that. So hopefully down the line, you'll see a product started by me in the CPG space that everyone can enjoy and love. But I'm still thinking of those ideas.
Yasmin, of course you are. And I'm so grateful for you telling your stories and your big vision for change makers and your future and for representing younger girls on She Can that we are desperately trying to reach all around the world. So thank you for being such an inspiring role model for that age class and for talking to me today.
Yes, thank you so much for allowing me to share my insights.